Hi, everyone. It is Sunday evening, and this is Elsie Kerns, your chaos to clarity coach and Eden energy medicine practitioner. So, tonight, I'm very excited because I've actually been eating and tasting these wonderful, organic, gluten free, delectable goodies made by Carla Harris and the Piping Bag Bakery. So I want to introduce you to Carla tonight and talk about her company and how she discovered the way to make her bakery goods so fabulous, even though they're gluten free. So, Carla, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Elsie. It's my pleasure to be here.
So I would like you to tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you to create the Piping Bag Bakery.
Well, I must say that my journey started probably in my 20s when I heard first of organic anything. And I was intrigued by eating clean and keeping the environment healthy and renewable resources and things like that. And so at that stage, I was finishing up my college career, and I decided to take a business course at Wharton School of Business designed for small business enterprises. So I took that course and I developed a business plan, and I started baking on the side just to, test out recipes and see, was there a market for organic baked goods, because I just loved to bake. But I wanted it to be healthy, not just for me, but for anyone else. So I started there. But, life moved in. I got married, had a baby, worked on my master's, began teaching with the school district of Philadelphia. And my dream kind of, went to the background. So I continued to bake. And then eventually I started to offer it free to my colleagues at work. And they loved it. So I decided, hey, I might be able to do this, but it was too costly to do organic at the time. So I just offered your traditional baked goods with non-organic and gluten. So I did that for a while. And then I experienced these really intense health problems. And it came down basically to totally cleaning out my system on an AIP, which is an autoimmune paleo protocol, where you don't do any grains, no nuts, no seeds, no nightshades, no dairy. And everything is just clean proteins, clean fruit, clean veggies, clean oils. And that's where I decided, you know what, I need to explore this, kind of taking my passion into a more healthy arena, not just for me, but I had discovered so many family members and colleagues who could not consume gluten. They couldn't consume nightshades. There were just so many problems in the communities around me that I said, this resonates with so many other people. This might be an avenue I want to explore. So I took the plunge and I scrapped everything that was gluten-filled, anything that had processed sugar or any type of ingredient, and that, could possibly harm your system. And I just took the plunge and began experimenting with my recipes that were for gluten, traditional gluten baked goods. I just got rid of everything. And slowly I developed these recipes that you enjoyed recently.
Yes, when I was at the farmer's market, everyone yesterday seemed to go for those triple chocolate dunk cherry cookies. And I brought some home that you gave me. I absolutely love them. I could not believe that they were so gluten-free and healthy. I didn't have to worry about the gluten sensitivity. Right. And also that green tea matcha muffin with coconut oil and coconut milk was perfect this morning. But I want to know, how you've made these taste so good, because I've tried other gluten-free things and they don't taste anything like this.
Well, I appreciate that. I really appreciate that, because I think, our senses are opened when we see something that looks delectable, and then when we taste it and it's far from it, it's a huge letdown. And I think that the health industry, especially healthy foods industry, has taken a bad rap, because people assume that if it's gluten-free, if it's healthy, if it's organic, it's going to taste like cardboard. It may look great, but it's going to taste terrible. But I think one of the keys to making things taste delicious is not masking their natural tastes. You don't want to mask their natural color, and you don't want to use them in a product that doesn't let them shine. So my main, my main goal is to take what is freshest, what is local, what is seasonal, and use it in its most pure form. So I don't like to use overly processed things. I start with the most fresh flour or grain, and I mill it in small batches. Now, I don't have a professional mill, but I have a mill that works very well at grinding to a nice consistency, all of the grains that I use. And so I start there. I start with fresh vegetables and fruits. All of my sources use or offer everything that is local and seasonal. And I think that is also key to making something taste good. When we find things that are not in season, they're usually frozen, or, they've already begun to near the end of their life expectancy. And so they're not nutritionally sound. They're not packed with nutrition. They don't have the peak of flavor. The natural sugars in them have begun to, they really have, I want to say they've become more intensified. So an oil has become rancid. And so that makes those people or those companies that produce these gluten-free organic products then want to add a filler or some type of natural flavor enhancer. And that's when you run into that dull tasting, cardboard feeling product.
Yeah, that cardboardy, that's a good way of describing it, because that's just what it has. But one of the things I want people to know is that you actually had some serious health challenges which really catapulted you into this very, very seriously.
Yes. So there are a few autoimmune diseases that run in my family. I didn't particularly think anything of them until recently, maybe 3 years ago, when I got bit by a bug in a hotel room. And I was awakened by this burning sensation across my back. And from then on, I didn't think anything about it. It just kind of flared up. I'm pretty sensitive to bug bites. So I didn't think anything of it. But from then on, I started experiencing a lot of joint inflammation, a lot of just breakouts all over my body. And at one point, I was at the hospital or at the doctor's practically 3 or 4 times a month going, hey, my toe is swollen and it's oozing. My neck has broken out. And these huge, there would be these huge eruptions of clear fluid just coming out of these patches of rash. And my lips would swell and turn black, and my underarms it was horrible. It was a mess. Oh. And everyone thought, oh, well, it's contact dermatitis, or you've eaten something that just doesn't sit well with you. Well, to make a long story short, I went to at least 7 specialists. 6 specialists. And I finally was diagnosed with celiac disease. They thought it was lupus because of the way my face would just swell. And it was, I looked like I was going to die. I looked like my airways were going to close down. And, everybody was just horrified, especially my husband. He just had no idea what was happening to me. But finally, we got a diagnosis for celiac. And I started there. I said, well, let me clean up my diet. And certain things started to improve. My brain fog kind of went away because I could not hold a clear thought. My eyes were always blurry. They started to clear up. My skin started to clear up. The achiness in my joints. Now, I do have degenerative disc disease, degenerative joint disease, and I have some other issues with my spine. So, I just attributed my aches and pains just to those things that were congenital. Finding that I had celiac meant that I needed to totally revamp everything I ate, everything I touched, everything that touched me, where I went to eat, if I went to eat anywhere other than my home, what kinds of meats I was eating, where they were coming from, if I was going to reintroduce any of the dairy or any of the nuts or the seeds or berries. I had to be very selective. I had to ask questions. I had to annoy waiters. I had to embarrass my husband when we went out to eat. I had to exasperate my children when they took me out to Mother's. I had to totally look at self-care and what it meant to me. And I had to put that at the top of my list. And so the Piping Bag Bakery's mission changed. It wasn't going to be, oh, this is incredible. You can't even tell it's gluten-free. It had to be, this is nutrient dense. This is at the peak of nutritional health for you. This has to be a mission that explores putting self-care at the top of the list for my customers, for myself, for my family.
Well, you've certainly done that. And I have to say, yesterday was the first time I had a chance to meet you in person at the Burlington County Farmers Market there. And your skin looks fabulous and you look very vital and healthy compared to, what you had described to me that you had been through and been misdiagnosed as. So you really did the work and the discipline that it takes to cut out all of those things and come down to everything being very natural, as you said, in season and agreeable. And of course, I want to remind everyone what you said earlier about milling your own flour so that you could guarantee that there was no mixture in a plant where there was also wheat, correct?
Yes, because most of the purveyors of gluten-free flours in the local area, they don't have a dedicated mill for gluten-free flour. And I personally cannot take the chance. I'm particularly sensitive to the protein in wheats and gluten grains. And there are thousands of us out there. And so I would be remiss if I didn't take every precaution. Does it add an extra step? Yes. Is it worth it? Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it obviously worked. Everything from those triple chocolate cherry cookies. Oh, I mean, the banana pecan bread. There are so many different products, the scones, cookies. I mean, they're really absolutely excellent. And of course, one of the things you do is make everything fresh. So as you told me earlier, you were up, way before dawn on Saturday morning, getting ready for the market, making everything fresh for the day and for the booth where you were selling your delectable organic gluten-free goodies.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I can't say it's hard work because I love it. I'm a teacher by trade. I do believe in the mission of teaching, but my heart sings when I'm in the kitchen or when I'm in the garden, or if I have a good book. That's what makes me happy. And so fresh is important, and you just put the work in because you believe in it.
Well, I think that is exactly what you taste is your passion and the heart that you put in to piping bag bakery. It's obviously you can taste it with every bite. It's marvelous. So I'm going to invite people to go on your website. I'm going to put up the website as soon as we're over and how you can contact Carla. You also do deliveries, is that correct? If people want that?
Yes, I do. So because I'm a school teacher, I only have limited time to bake during the school year. So I take orders for deliveries at the market Wednesdays and Thursdays, and then I will deliver, or they can be picked up at the market on Saturdays. My custom orders will be taken 2 to 4 to 2 months, 3 months, 4 months in advance. And then I will deliver, or they're available for pickup as well, because I bake out of the kitchen at the farmer's market. We don't have the cottage law in New Jersey yet. So my home kitchen is not my base of operation. My base for testing, but it's not my base for operation. So right now during the school year, I'm limited, but during the summer, I will bake and deliver 6 out of the 7 days of the week.
Okay, so Carla, I have a question from Tara, and she wants to know, are your products corn and GMO free also?
They are. So let me clarify first the corn issue. I do interchange between cream of tartar and baking powder for my leavener. Baking powder is a derivative of corn, but in the process of making it, there is no corn, or the corn protein is totally eliminated. If you are very corn sensitive, then I would make your custom order with cream of tartar. Other than that, I don't use any corn flour in any of my products. I don't use corn oil. I use unrefined coconut oil or olive oil or organic butter from milk from grass-fed cows, or I will use avocado for my fat. So there's no corn or soy in my product.
Great. Well, Tara's very appreciative. She said she's getting tested next week. And Denise, said that the Piping Bag Bakery is definitely on her radar. So I will put all that information up. And again, the freshness, just saying how you're using grass-fed butter and coconut milk, coconut oil, unrefined. I mean, all these products are so pure, and that's exactly what your products taste like, that pure, but they also are very satisfying, just enough sweetness to them.
Good. I'm glad. Part of a celiac's issue is that your body doesn't absorb the nutrition, I should say the vitamins and minerals, all of the nutritional components in food. So sugar is floating around in my blood at all times. And so I have tested as pre-diabetic for type 2 diabetes, which is common with celiac sufferers. And so I need to make sure that my sweeteners are low glycemic. My flours also need to be that as well. So I know some people say, oh, they're not sweet enough for me. I'm sorry. I'd rather err on the side of just sweet enough, but not too sweet. just because I like to be able to eat what I make.
Well,
It has to be good. Yeah.
I can guarantee that you accomplish that with those
Good.
triple chocolate cherry chunk cookies. They
might be the exception, Elsie.
Divine, absolutely divine, everything.
I'm glad.
So, yeah, Tara is so excited to get this information, and so is Denise. Lucia is also joining us.
Hi, Lucia.
So what I will do is post information on how you can find out more about Carla's work. And once the summer is here and you're off of teaching, there'll be even more time to do that baking at the farmhouse. Absolutely. So I just want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. I'll put all that information, pipingbagbakery1.com, and I'll give you Carla's email and phone number in case you have any further questions.
Great.
Okay, Carla, any other words of wisdom before we end tonight?
I just want to encourage everyone, and I know that you know this, Elsie, as part of, and I never thought of myself as part of the healing community, but I've been welcomed with open arms, and I am so appreciative of people like you and Lucia, and Jeanette Givnish, a lot of the people that I've met so far. I appreciate the fact that there's a community out there dedicated to healing, and not just in the traditional sense, but in the most personal sense. And so to be welcomed into that community, I'm very grateful for that. So self-care, I think, is the message that we all are putting out there. And self-care comes in very many different ways. It wears different faces, and it has different voices. And I would encourage everyone to make self-care a priority as a woman of color, as a woman in the profession of teaching. You often, as a mother as a mother and a wife and a grandmother, it's so hard to keep up with yourself. It's so easy to lose yourself and forget to put self-care at the top of your list. It is not being selfish, and it's not being insensitive to those around you, but you can only be your best if you take care of yourself. And so that's what I would like to leave your listeners with. Take care of yourself, because it's really important for you to be whole and healthy so that you can give back to the people around you.
Well, that's perfect, Carla. And Karen said, thank you for the self-care comments. She said, rock on. So I think we would all agree with that.
Thanks,
and
Karen.
The holistic community is hungry for your baked goods. I assure you of that, and the purity that you present.
Thank you.
On the self-care spectrum, this is Elsie Kerns, your Chaos to Clarity coach. If you need a little self-care, happy to help you with that, along with some energy medicine to show you how you can also take care of yourself with energy. And Carla, will depend on you to keep on baking.
I absolutely will, Elsie, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.